Hey, welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. So, I did predict this would happen. I really did. People are rioting, shit's going into ham, and the law enforcement community can't help themselves. They have to be violent, even to peaceful people. They're shooting willy nilly with rubber bullets, shooting people just getting their groceries, tasering people sitting peacefully in their vehicle trying to go through, and they want to be treated with respect. Nah, nope, not going to happen for you guys. It's only going to get worse for you. It's only going to get crazier for you. Calling in the National Guard? Yeah, that's not going to help. It's not. It's only going to piss people off even more. It's only going to make people angrier. And it's only going to look bad for you when the people start fucking you guys off. And it's going to happen. Before this craziness ends, there will be more bloodshed. There will be more police officers dying because of this. It's not going to... The riots may stop at some point. But the threats to law enforcement officers are only going to increase. And it's not just the law enforcement officers anymore. People have it up to here with our government entities telling us what we can and cannot do in our own country. I don't think you guys fully understand that we are a free people and that our ancestors died to make us free. And you guys are falling right in line and acting like jackboot redcoat thugs. And it's going to be hilarious to see people not just openly defying you, but to see people going after you, not just you personally, but your livelihood, your kids, your family, everything that you have, everything that you possess. You still go back home at night. You still have a home to go back to. You don't think that people won't figure out where you live and come after you? You don't think that people aren't really good at already identifying agent provocateurs that you put in protests to cause things so that the police can give that order to disperse? You don't think people are hip to that? We are. We've already called you out. We've seen it. We've seen officers trying to march with protesters, and then those same officers trying to do damage to buildings, to police cars, to a number of things in order for the police to give that go-ahead to disperse the crowd, because then it turns into a violent riot instead of a peaceful protest. If you think that peaceful protests weren't working, they wouldn't have agent provocateurs literally trying to stir things up so that the police can come in force and en masse and break things up. And what's really hilarious, what's really been funny to watch, is the mainstream media has been getting arrested. They've been getting tear gas, rubber bulleted, the whole 9 yards. Everything that everybody else is dealing with on the streets, they're getting. They're getting it just as much as everybody else. And it's not lawful. It's not legal. And for that whole crowd of people saying, oh, well, you shouldn't burn and loot, the people that start that are actually the police. Yes. Hilarious concept, I know. But it's true. Check it out. There are agent provocateurs in Salt Lake City. They already got busted in Minneapolis. They've already been busted in protests all over the country. San Antonio. Agent provocateurs have been caught in Oakland, in LA, and people are really putting it on the cops. They are really going hand to hand with these law enforcement officers. But I have something better for you guys, and I hope somebody catches this video. For those who are protesting George Floyd, just know, even if you live in the Nazi state of California, you have a right to bear arms. So, and then what I think is hilarious is there's a lot of hood guys out there that are protesting. A lot of, you know, oh, I'm a Crip, I'm a Blood, I'm a whatever. I don't care what the fuck you are. You're a pussy unless you band together and actually fight the cops. Like, they are the enemy, not the other gangs, not the other people out there with you, not the business owners, though some businesses I really don't feel bad for. If you're a big box store and you're running little businesses out of work because you're using government goons to shut them down so that you get all of the revenue during this time period, I don't feel bad for you getting looted. I don't. And then when law enforcement agencies tell you that you can't sell milk to people who've been pepper sprayed, and then you comply with that, you sort of earned your looting. You sort of earned that. Now, for the small business owners who have people, or they themselves are arming themselves and defending their store, good on you. Keep doing it. Shoot the idiots that try and loot your store just because they want to have a fucking crazy time with that. And also, if you do shoot someone and they don't go down on that first shot, it's because they're wearing armor and they're an agent provocateur. If you can bring one of them down and showcase to the world that that's the case, please do so. For those of you who are my Seattle brothers and sisters, arm up. The time for peaceful protests, and everybody's calling for peaceful protests, that doesn't do anything. It clearly doesn't stop the cops from shooting you with rubber bullets. It clearly doesn't stop the cops from tear gassing you. And it clearly doesn't stop the cops from arresting hundreds and thousands of people during this riot spring. Okay? So for those who are really game about their shit and you're really game for the Constitution, it is okay, and in fact, it is your duty to arm yourself up and take them out. Pitch battles in the street is what we need. We need that. We actually need an armed group, and I wouldn't be surprised if the National Guard turns their weapons on the police. In fact, they should. Everybody being activated right now in Minneapolis for the National Guard, think about who you're aiming your weapons at. Think about whose orders you're going to follow. You don't work for the governor. I'm sorry. You're a soldier. You're a sailor. You're a Marine. You're a guardsman. You swore an oath to the Constitution, not the governor. Direct your anger. Direct your weapons at them. Because here's the thing, guardsmen. Here's the thing, soldiers and sailors. If you think you're going to be able to just go home after you've shot, arrested, and assaulted the people that are around you, you got us fucked up. Police officers, if you think you can just go home, and for the two officers that have been shot and killed over this last weekend or during this weekend, I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for your family. You fuckers chose a profession that kills people. You chose a lifestyle that demeans the human race. You chose a lifestyle of taxation, theft, extortion, murder, mayhem, and you want everybody else to think that's okay. Like, I get that there are people out there who want to protect other people from truly bad people. But when your protection turns into oppression, you no longer are a protector. You're the oppressor. You're the bully. You're the person who is going to be on the receiving end of all the bad shit that's going to happen to you and your friends. Your friends out there that are lining up next to you in the jackboot shield and mask and everything like that, they are not going to make it. Not going to make it in what happens next. Not going to make it in the Civil War. And the Civil War is literally going to be the poor people versus the rich people. It's going to be more of a revolution. But it's going to be poor people versus government agents versus the elites who are paying the government agents to protect them. So that's where people got us fucked up. We've been we've been in a nation too long with a corrupt justice system. We've been in a nation too long of police brutality, police lethality, and we're allowing it to happen. We've let it happen way too long. You've officially woken the sleeping giant, and I don't care what happens to you. I don't blame anybody for the damage that comes to you. I don't blame people for their anger. I don't blame people for the murderous intention they have for you. The only ones you can place blame on in that situation is you and your friends. If you're a cop and you know bad cops are in your ranks and you're not doing anything about it, guess what? That makes your ass a bad cop because you're not arresting the bad cops. If you're out on a beat and you see, 4 officers on a dude, if it just takes a little bit of your pea brain to understand that, hey, man, that guy is not going to make it because you got 4 individuals all over his body and he cannot breathe. He's telling you he cannot breathe. He's, fighting and gasping for air. Or if you tase a person and they're not immediately complying with you, but you're putting them in a situation where they cannot comply with you, then you're the problem. You are absolutely the problem. If you're dealing with mental health people, it's okay to disengage, call for backup, get a mental health team. There are some agencies out here that have figured it out. And it's not every agency, sadly. It's not every police officer out there. As we've seen, the good ones are actually getting fired for advocating for the Constitution. The good ones are actually getting fired for going to internal affairs about their brothers and sisters in arms who are not doing the right thing. The constitutional sheriffs out there that are not confiscating weapons, that are not putting their guys on a detail to cattle prod citizens who are peacefully protesting, those are the good ones. But unfortunately, you're thrown in with all the bad ones. There are police officers out there right now protesting with you, protesting with people. They are in danger. Their families are in danger. Like, it's always been kind of this mentality that they've thought of, hey, there's a war on cops, when there wasn't a war. But now, they've kicked off the war. They want the bloody interactions, but they don't want the consequence. They want to be on the winning end. They want to be on the winning side, the side that is pro whatever they think that is going on. But they're not. They're not pro-law. Obviously, they're doing things that are unconstitutional, unlawful. That's why bad shit's happening to them. That's why people don't just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm going to protest the police, and the police aren't, even if they're not doing anything wrong, I'm just going to protest. People don't wake up like that. People wake up and be like, yo, there is serious injustice going on. There is serious harm coming to our fellow citizens at the hands of police. And you can only imagine how many interactions were never recorded. How many people they've suffocated to death who never got put on film. How many people they've tasered to death who never made it on film. How many people they put in their vehicle. And this was fortunately caught on film. Like, it's a rare occasion where they actually catch it on film, where the law enforcement officers put people in their vehicles and beat the snot out of them. They do this. They do it all the time. They put people in their vehicles in 108-degree weather in Arizona, and they turn off the AC and they let them sit there for 30 minutes, for 40 minutes, for an hour. It gets up to 120 degrees in that car. Shit, they do it to their own dogs. The canine units do it to their own dogs. What makes you think they don't do it to humans? They do it all the time. So here's my message. If you're a cop, if you're a good cop, start throwing cuffs on the people that you know are bad, people that you know assault people that you know are doing crime. Throw handcuffs on them right now. If you're a good cop. If you're a bad cop, well, in the next 72 hours, if you make it, it's only going to get worse. If you make it in the next 72 hours as a law enforcement officer and you don't die or your brothers don't die, consider yourself lucky, because this is only the tip of the iceberg. This is only the start of people being pissed off enough to raise cities to the ground. It's already happening. We see it in Minneapolis. We see long-standing buildings and institutions that have been erected for hundreds of years being burned to the ground or being burnt out because of the frustration and the injustice that people are feeling in that community. And it's everywhere. If you think Minneapolis is, if Minneapolis was the only place that police brutality and injustice were happening, do you think it would be happening all over the U.S. like it is? 8 states in the United States have activated their National Guard because they're afraid of the people. They're afraid of unarmed people. Could you imagine their response to armed individuals who go through and start murking them? I wouldn't blame people if they did. The 3%ers that are out there, you guys need to stop waving your guns in violence and start shooting. Start taking out the law enforcement officers. They're not your friends. They're not your buddy. The people out there defending law enforcement officers right now, they're not your friends. They're not your buddy. Even if you have a relative who is a law enforcement officer, they are no longer part of your family. They have a different family that they owe homage to. They're not going to protect you. They're not going to protect you from being arrested. They're not going to save you from being murdered at the hands of their fellow cops. They will only endorse the cover-up. They will be silent. They won't protect you. They will not help you. And I say this with all seriousness that if you're in law enforcement and you even feel like there's a potential that you strap on your vest today and your gun and you're being told to go out and deal with these rioters, these protesters, and you feel like it's not your day, don't go. I would encourage you to not go. Fake a cough. COVID-19. Hey, man, I can't be out there today. Because it's not going to go well. It's only going to get worse. So don't go. If you know you're a law enforcement officer and you know in your heart that everything that you're doing is only going to get more officers killed, everything that you're doing is only going to cause pain to your family, don't go. Take the badge off. Find a different occupation. There's no such thing as blue lives. It's an occupation that they choose to do. They're not protecting anyone. They're not busting bad guys. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a contingent of the first responders that don't really deserve the heat. That's the EMTs, the firefighters. You've never heard a song say, fuck the firefighters or fuck the EMS. Never. It's fuck the police. Because the police officers, not only do they start 90% of the shit that they get into, but they're protected by a system that's going to get burnt to the ground in the next month or so. Okay? If you think judges out there, if you see this video, if you think you're safe, you are not safe. You're not. City council members out there in your communities, if you're not on the front lines with your protesters, you are not safe. You're endorsing the elitist rich. You're endorsing the elites that are sending armed goons to go suppress the people. It did not work in the War of 1812 and the terror. It didn't work for the French royalty. It's not going to work for you. It's not. We the people outnumber you 10-1, 15-1. We outnumber you. We outgun you with small arms. Where do you think the baddest of the bad of America's warfighting machine comes from? The people, the populace. If you're a veteran, you're watching this, and you're a law enforcement officer and a veteran, your oath is to the Constitution. You have a duty to remove yourself from the situation. It's okay. There are other ways to make a paycheck. Believe me, it's scary, but there really are other ways to make a paycheck. I know it's scary. I know you're worried. I know you got a family. I know you got bills. I get it. But when with the job that you're doing and it causes harm, you have no business doing it. If the job that you're doing and you knowingly violate people's rights, and I really hope you understand that there are brothers and sisters out there who are veterans who don't believe that what they're doing is wrong. They don't believe it. We as the people know it's true. There are other veterans calling a spade, but they don't want to believe it because they are so indoctrinated into this new religion called the warrior police officer that they believe that everything that they do with any mechanism that they can to win or to stifle any sort of disobedience is what they're supposed to do. They believe that in their heart. For those individuals who die by the sword in that sort of sense, I don't feel bad for you. You don't deserve honors. In fact, a mass grave is where you go. For law enforcement officers that die doing unlawful shit, for law enforcement officers that tried to that tried to convict a man for defending his home when law enforcement officers didn't announce themselves and they ended up killing his girlfriend. Well, I don't feel bad for the law enforcement officers that were shot. You deserve to be shot. You got the wrong house. You knew you had the wrong place. You knew the guy that you were looking for was already in custody. You should have backed the fuck down. Even if you go in wrong, you don't turn around and arrest the boyfriend for doing his job and defending the household with whatever mechanism he could use. Don't feel bad for you. You've been shot in the line of duty. Your superiors better make sure you're going in with a valid warrant. And if it's a people warrant, wait. People leave their houses. People go to and from the grocery store. People go to and from the gas station. Why do you have to enter a home and flashbang babies and people and kick down doors and shoot animals? Why do you think you have to do that and do all these no-knock raids and do all the... Come on. We have reached the point where a no-knock raid is not a good idea. We've reached the point where if people can't identify you as a law enforcement officer and you get shot, you're the dumbass that deserves to get shot. I'm sorry, there's no sympathy. If your wife is crying, oh, he was such a good man. No, he was not. Your kids, oh man, my daddy was a police officer. If I were your kid, I wouldn't admit that to nobody ever. Be like, yo, my dad just does security and shit. No, they should be embarrassed by your profession. It's not an honorable profession. It's no longer honorable. If you're in law enforcement or you're doing, if you're so fucking used to the government teeth that you can't possibly get off, I feel bad for you. But I don't feel bad for what happens to you. You have to understand. There are situations that you can walk away from, and this is one of them. There are situations where you as a veteran can turn the tide by convincing your unit, especially if you're 11 Bravo. If you're 11 Bravo and you're sitting there deployed in your own city streets, you better be ready to get fucked up, or you better be ready to turn the muzzle the other way and start blasting the homies that are going to do some dirt. You know that if you're a law enforcement officer and you do catch this video, this is not a terroristic threat. This is not me saying that, hey, I'm going to be out there leading the march against you guys. No, this isn't that at all. This is a warning that there are other individuals out there who will do this. That you are making the matter worse. If you're a law enforcement officer, quit. Stop the profession. And then your response is going to be, well, who's going to protect the people? The people are going to protect themselves. If you allow people, which is something I hate to say, but for some reason, people in this country think they can tell other people what to do, how to live, how to be armed or not armed. I'm sick and tired of that. I've seen why do I got to see videos every day where you got law enforcement officers going and unarming people? Nowhere is that written in law that it says a law enforcement officer can put hands on you and unarm you for walking with a firearm. You can open carry in a lot of states. You can constitutional carry in a lot of states. You can even conceal carry in a lot of states. But the whole officer safety premise is fiction. There's nothing grounded in law that says you have to be safe. Nothing grounded in law saying that we have to acquiesce to your demands or else. No. If you get shot in that interaction, I don't feel bad for you. If your partner gets shot and bleeds out in front of you, I don't feel bad for you. If your kids get bullied at school because you're a law enforcement officer, I don't feel bad for you. If your kids get fucking murked at school for you being a law enforcement officer, I don't feel bad for you. I don't. I don't feel bad for all the bad shit that is gonna happen to you. And this isn't just me. This is the American people who have gotten like sick and tired of how bad it's gotten and how bad it needed to get before we took up arms against you. Like I said, you woke the sleeping giant, but it's all on you. It's all on your brothers. And if you're the cop and you're like, man, what David's saying doesn't pertain to me. Like, the fuck it don't. If you're the passive aggressive cop that's sitting there holding your duty belt while your other buddies are choking the shit out of somebody, you kind of deserve to get shot too, bud. Sorry, but I don't care. You deserve to die on that same hill. And you deserve a mass grave. I'm sorry. Just roll ass in there. You don't deserve to die with distinction or honor because you didn't serve with distinction or honor. For those of you who are protecting businesses, I applaud you. But just know that if you're protecting big box stores, they have insurance, bro. The small businesses, the mom and pop shops, those are the businesses that need protecting. Those are the businesses under the most threat. Because the big box stores are going to recover no problem. No problem. In fact, they're going to bill the United States for more money and be like, listen, Uncle Sam, there were $11 billion of damage, but you're just one target. But there was $11 billion, and they're going to get that money. So I'm not worried about the Targets, the Walmarts, the giant megalithic box stores that are too big to fail. I don't feel bad for them. For the mom and pop shops, when you got community leaders, community people who simply own a business in that community and that's all they have, all their money's tied up into it. They've dedicated their life to serving a neighborhood for 30, 40, 50 years and they've done no harm to nobody, and you're looting them, you kind of deserve to get shot. You really do. For that video, that shop owner who's putting 12 gauge buckshot into people, don't feel bad for you. Shouldn't have been trying to break into a store. Shouldn't have been trying to loot his shit. I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for people who are getting gunned down by store owners, for clerks behind the desk at convenience shops, or clerks behind the desk at a gas station. If you're doing dirt and you're doing crime, you deserve to get shot in that situation. I'm sorry, there's no sympathy. A protest does not give you right nor design to deny people their pursuit of happiness or their property. Nope, doesn't do that. So, I think I beat a dead horse well enough. But yeah, just know that shit's gonna hit the fan. In the next 30 days, I wouldn't want to be a police officer. I wouldn't want to be affiliated with police officers. I wouldn't want to have relatives that are police officers, even though I do, because your fucking days are coming.